Hey, thanks so much for checking out the video. The goal of today's lesson is to help you become a better improviser. We're going to do this through the usage of a rhythmic motif and also through using a C melodic thirds scale sequence, or actually an A minor melodic thirds scale sequence. So I'm going to play first what I want to teach you so you understand what I'm trying to show you first, right? I'll be using an A minor backing track that I found on YouTube. My delay is on now. Tap to the tempo. I got some gain on. Here we go. Okay, everything right there was, a lot of it, the first part definitely was right out of the A minor pentatonic scale. So let's see here. I'm starting right here on the 8th fret. We all know this pentatonic shape, right? So I'm starting right there going 8 to 5. But now here's what I do. I move it down, right? So many of you would have gone there instead, where I'm taking the G note and I'm playing it here at the 3rd fret of the high E string, which to me is the G minor. That's the G minor position for A minor. And it's almost like I'm seeing my scale linearly, right? Which is a big deal. Many players just work up and down the neck, where linearly becomes a great way to get rid of habits, bad habits. So know that you can play so that's my A minor pentatonic scale on a single string. The benefits of this is I can do wide, long, right? So I can jump all the way up to the E note, where stuff like that gets a little bit more challenging going across the strings, right? You're not really going to be able to get that nice fluid slide if you wanted to do that. So that should be a hint there to you guys to practice your scales linearly. Not only single string, but 2 strings together. So I'm seeing them together. Okay, so 8 5 8 5 8 5 da 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 da, ending on the 5, ending on the 3 5 3, a little bit shorter this time, and then that was 5 3 on the B string, and then 5 2 on the G string, 5 2 again right out of the G minor pentatonic, or the G minor form of A minor pentatonic. I'm thinking for G minor, when I say that, I'm thinking this shape. Okay, but that's the form we're in here. So 5 to 2, and then I bend up this 4th fret of the G string a half step. So this is a B note. That is the 9th degree or 2nd degree in the key of A minor. It would give you like A minor and A minor 9, right? And bending the B up to the C, which is implying like the minor 3rd of the A minor chord or key. So we got all right. Now for a lot of people, that would be where the lesson would end. I played it for you. I showed you where to play it, how to play it. But that's just half of it. The other half is the rhythm. When am I playing? And this is the thing that gets overlooked the most by people. They never think in rhythm. We're always thinking scale and note choices. But rhythms are what's going to really bring things to life. So what I'm doing here is I'm using a rhythmic motif. Well, a motif is just like a short repeating musical phrase. Now I'm not repeating the same notes. I'm moving them, but I'm using the kind of the same rhythm there for the first few times, right? And then I change it up at the end just to make it a little bit different. right? To not make it so repetitive. I'm already repeating the whole thing a couple times, 3 times in fact. And by the way, the chords here going by are A minor, then to F, to G, back to A minor. All right, so we need to know, when am I playing this? I'm coming in on the and of 1. So right there, many people, everybody wants to always start on beat 1 when they're improvising. Sometimes just wait. Just let it come in and then you come in. Maybe you got to hear it one time through first before you even play. You got to know what you're playing too. So listen first if you haven't heard it. But even so, even here, just like I'm coming on the and of 1, and that helps make it be a little bit more interesting. And people could all do, everybody, myself included, could do with putting more rests in their playing. And I know that's really tough sometimes when you're on stage, when the adrenaline's pumping and you just want to go, a million miles an hour. I have to control myself at times and tell myself to relax going into the solo. I do that. Okay, so now here's the thing. I'm telling you that we're starting on the and of 1, but what we need to know right now is we need to understand what the quarter note pulse of this track is. This is where it becomes really important, because I want to know what all my different beat subdivisions are. So let's listen to the track, and he's going to give it to you right in the beginning. 2, 3, 4, right? So right there, 1, 2. That's your quarter note pulse for this whole thing. So what's the significance of this? Well, it's that from this, I know all my different beat subdivisions. So if that's my quarter note pulse, 1, 2, 3, 4, then eighth notes are 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Triplets would be 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a. 16th notes would be 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. Triplets 16th notes would be bottle in front of me, front on the bottom of me, bottle in front of me, front on the bottom of me. And then 32nd notes would be 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 4E, 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 4, 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 4. Slow down. 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 4, 1E and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. That's really, I've taught for a long time and I teach that a lot, so I've gotten pretty good at being able to count it out loud. That helps me out a lot to be able to understand all those beat subdivisions. That helps me by thinking about them when I practice and working on them. You start to do this stuff without realizing it, right? I'm not always thinking about the rhythms I'm playing, but by practicing a lot, it just starts to happen unconsciously. I can tell at times if I stop and think about what I'm doing, I can tell what I'm doing, right? But here's the great, the beautiful thing about practicing your beat subdivisions with a metronome is that the offshoot is that it syncs up your right and left hand, so you just get so much tighter and so much better, especially with your right hand picking when you practice it with a metronome. So a lot of benefits to being a studious guitarist and understanding these things. So here's the count. Now that we understand where we're at here, we're in a 16th note pattern, right? So the 16th notes here, this is what it is: 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a, right? So you can hear if I was, so that's the 16th note, right? So I don't want to be playing scales and just going. That's just not musical, right? That becomes very repetitive in a bad way after just a little bit. So just imagine you stopped. Like how simple. You just stopped once in a while. That alone right there would help break up that repetition and sound more musical. But when you can start doing more, adding more rhythms together, where you place the rhythms, things like that, or the phrases, that's where things start to get more interesting. So with that here, I'm on a 16th note pattern, right? I'm coming in on the and of 1. So 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E. So I get there on beat 3. and a 3E and a 4E and then I would start it again. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1. Right? So that's what's making it cool here. It's this coming in on the ands. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3. Now I shorten this one up because I want to fit that in there, right? So again, it's 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1. All right, so that right there happens 3 times. And then I do this. That's a melodic third scale sequence in the key of A minor. So I'm going right up the scale to start. What that means is that every note starting right here is a third apart. Third apart, third apart. So you can hear that do 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 do. You can hear that scale sequence happening. And I'm still in a 16th note pattern here. And then I just kind of ended with like almost a bluesy, you know. I think I slide up. A bluesy hammer on pull off. Again, now I'm in the D. So here, this was coming from the E minor position for A minor pentatonic, right? But I'm using the full natural minor scale is what I'm using here. So I'm getting out of the pentatonic and adding these 2 notes that give me half steps, which help me become more melodic. And there's that bend. Now I'm in the D minor position of A minor pentatonic. Right, so I get that whole step bend up. So what, in conclusion here, what should you take from today's lesson? I hope what you take from it is to take what you know, think about it in a different way. Take your A minor pentatonic and think about it linearly, up and down the neck. And then be aware of what you're playing, when you're playing it. Think of rhythm. Know that you're starting on the end of 1. Understand that it's a 16th note pattern. And then you can use what you've already known. You can start using it in a more musical way. Then the other thing I want you to know, because a lot of people know this, is this. I purposefully wanted to use a melodic thirds scale sequence in here because, I teach it a lot. A lot of people know it, but a lot of people just don't know how to implement it into their playing. The big thing is that people just don't try to. They just go home, they learn this, and they think, cool, I can do that. But they don't look at it from a musical standpoint. Where me, when I learn sequences, I try to put them to use. A common one is that groups of 3 in A minor. So every note, you go down 3, back 1, then down 3. So you're going da 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 da. I mean, we've all heard that before, right? Yeah, so you learning to take a scale sequence if you're working on, or really whatever it is you're working on, is that you put it into musical use, right? Okay, let me play out again here and do it again here.